Scientists and archaeologists have found evidence of the existence of UFOs and contact with extraterrestrial life. Archaeologists claim that they have dug up a metal artifact that is millions of years old. They also confirmed that at some time ago, all people on our planet had simultaneous contact with a highly developed civilization or something extraterrestrial. This is confirmed by multiple finds all over the planet. Hi friend, you are on the KirTop channel. Ceramic figurines from Mexico. In 1944, thousands of ceramic figurines were discovered in the Mexican city of Acámbaro, which have since sparked heated debate among scientists. These figurines depict humans, animals, and even dinosaurs, which has led to speculation about possible contact between ancient civilizations and dinosaurs, or the existence of a civilization with incredible knowledge of the ancient world. Some supporters of alternative theories even hypothesize extraterrestrial origins or influences. However, the authenticity of the Acámbaro figurines is seriously questioned by most scientists. Many researchers believe that these artifacts may be modern fakes created for attention-grabbing or commercial gain. The lack of reliable dating and archaeological context increases skepticism about their authenticity. The GloZelle Tablet. In 1924, clay tablets with mysterious symbols and images were discovered in the small village of GloZelle in France, causing a heated debate in the scientific community. These artifacts, found by a young farmer Émile Fradet, were so unusual that they could not be linked to any known ancient civilization. The tablets contain symbols and images reminiscent of ancient writings, but their origin and meaning remain unclear. Some researchers have hypothesized that the GloZelle tablets may be evidence of a lost or unknown culture that developed in the region thousands of years ago. Another more radical theory suggests that the tablets may be traces of extraterrestrial intervention, although there is very little evidence for this. However, the authenticity of the tablets remains in question. Since their discovery, scientists have conducted numerous studies to understand whether they are real ancient artifacts or skillful forgeries. To date, none of the versions have received definitive confirmation, and the GloZelle tablets continue to be one of the most mysterious archaeological finds of the 20th century. Metallic objects from Gaius. The La Mana caves in Ecuador have attracted the attention of not only archaeologists, but also fans of mysticism and ufology for many years. The story of the discovery of metal objects in these caves is shrouded in mystery and mysticism. According to legend, metal plates were discovered in La Mana with symbols engraved on them that resemble modern diagrams, maps, and even technical drawings. These findings became the basis for hypotheses about the existence of an unknown civilization in the distant past that possessed highly developed technologies, or about contacts between ancient people and extraterrestrial beings. Supporters of these theories argue that such complex and detailed symbols could not have been created with primitive tools and should indicate more advanced knowledge. Some researchers even suggest that the plates could have served as star maps or technological instructions left by aliens. However, most scientists are very skeptical about these findings. There is no conclusive evidence that the metal objects from La Mana are indeed ancient. Some experts point to possible traces of modern metalworking and the inconsistency of these artifacts with styles and technologies known in ancient Ecuador. Moreover, there is a lack of reliable dating and context for the objects, which further undermines their authenticity. Archaeologists believe that these artifacts may have been created in a later period, perhaps as part of a hoax or to attract tourists. Thus, despite the fascinating and mysterious story of the metal objects from the caves of La Mana, their origin and meaning remain in question. The story of the caves of La Mana is an example of how myths and legends can intertwine with reality, creating fascinating but often unreliable stories about our past. Mysterious accessory from the future. Archaeologists have discovered wall carvings depicting objects similar to modern handbags. Some of these images are about 12,000 years old. The earliest were found in Turkey in the ruins of the megalithic temple of Göbekli Tepe, where strange images are engraved on the columns of the ancient temple. Similar motifs have been discovered in Mexico, Iraq, and South America, raising many questions about the possible use of such objects by ancient civilizations. Although the images resemble handbags or clutches, experts believe the ancient ruins are more likely to depict baskets. Some believe that the concept of a handbag may have been invented by ancient civilizations. The first modern bag appeared in 1841 in England, created by Samuel Parkinson. The problem is that the Göbekli Tepe temple was built in 9000 BC, and its builders could hardly have known about such an accessory. Another ancient example of a handbag was found in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs written about 5,000 years ago, where the gods hold a small square object symbolizing prosperity. Archaeologists have indeed found remains of baskets and tool bags used by the ancient Egyptians, but they cannot yet say for sure what is depicted in the hieroglyphs. Similar discoveries were made in Iraq, among the ruins of an Assyrian palace built between 883 and 859 BC, which depicts a genie with wings holding what appears to be a handbag. Historian David Miano believes that these figures, called Apkallu, were minor deities who carried water buckets made from sacred date palms rather than purses. Ancient buckets similar to the engravings were actually found in Iraq. Similar motifs have also been found in Mexico among Toltec ruins, where giant statues hold objects resembling handbags. These statues were created around 750 AD. Pyramid on the site of a volcano. The Great Pyramid at the Mayan site of San Andres was built in response to the eruption of the Tierra Blanca Joven volcano in the Lago Ilopango caldera. San Andres, located in the Zapotecan Valley in the department of La Libertad, El Salvador, was founded around 900 BC as an agricultural center that became the capital of the Mayan state between 600 and 900 AD. The eruption of Tierra Blanca Joven, which occurred around 539 AD, was one of the largest volcanic events in history, ejecting about 43.7 cubic kilometers of volcanic material. It caused significant climate change and devastated an area with a radius of up to 100 kilometers. Dr. Akira Ichikawa of the University of Colorado Boulder noted that due to the scale of the disaster, many settlements were abandoned and it took a long time to rebuild them. However, research in San Andres, just 40 kilometers from Lago Ilopango, has shown that construction began several years after the eruption. The start of construction of the La Campana Pyramid dates back to just 30 years after the eruption, and its completion took about 80 years. The pyramid, 7 meters high and with a volume of 23,000 cubic meters, was the largest structure in the valley. Dr. Ichikawa suggests that the pyramid was built using volcanic ash as a material and had religious significance associated with the worship of volcanoes in order to protect against future eruptions. Mystical stones of Jalisco. Piedras grabadas de Ojuelos de Jalisco are mysterious stones found in the Mexican state of Jalisco, carved with strange figures, scenes, and symbols. These stones have attracted the attention of researchers and UFO enthusiasts due to images that some believe indicate ancient civilizations had contact with extraterrestrial beings. The stones depict people interacting with alien-like figures as well as objects similar to modern ideas about UFOs. Proponents of the paleo-contact theory argue that these stones may be important evidence that ancient Jalisco cultures did encounter extraterrestrial beings, or at least perceive such contacts in their myths and legends. Despite their controversy and lack of scientific evidence, the stones continue to attract interest as a possible artifact that reflects the interaction of mythology and reality in ancient cultures. They still fascinate antiquarians, raising questions about the extent to which our ancestors could perceive or interpret unusual phenomena. Mystical petroglyphs. The distance from Egypt to Australia is 12,500 kilometers. However, as archaeological discoveries show, this distance was easily surmountable for ancient man. The Gosford glyphs are mysterious petroglyphs discovered in a rocky area near the city of Gosford in Australia. These images on the stone amazed researchers with their similarity to ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The glyphs depict scenes and symbols that indicate that these images may be indicative of possible contact between ancient Australian tribes and extraterrestrial beings, or even ancient Egyptian travels to Australia. Supporters of the paleo-contact theory claim that these glyphs may be evidence that in the distant past there were interactions between various ancient cultures or even with extraterrestrial civilizations. However, here too, skeptics come in and point out many inconsistencies and believe that the glyphs could have been created in the modern era, perhaps as a hoax, or are the work of local aborigines who used symbols similar to Egyptian ones. The question of the origin and authenticity of the Gosford glyphs remains open. At the moment, there is no convincing evidence confirming their antiquity or connection with extraterrestrial civilizations, which makes this find one of the most mysterious archaeological secrets of Australia. Portal to the Underworld. Last year, a unique artifact, the portal to the Underworld, which was stolen and taken to the United States in the 1960s, returned to Mexico. Scientists recently completed restoration and returned it to its original location in central Mexico. This monument, created by the Olmec civilization, has long been considered a gateway to the other world. In the 1960s, it was kidnapped from Chalcatzingo, a famous Olmec archaeological site where it was depicting a mythical cat with gaping jaws, a symbol of entry into the spiritual world. The monument dates from the pre-classic period, created between 800 and 400 BC. The thieves smashed the artifact with hammers to make it easier to transport, but did not damage the main features. It was smuggled to the United States, where it ended up on the illegal antiques market. In 1968, the artifact ended up in a New York museum under the name Monster of the Earth. Archaeologist David Grove recognized the Olmec origins of the monument and noted similarities with other sculptures at Chalcatzingo, especially the Olmec cross-shaped eyes and bromeliad flowers near the mouth. Human blood on ancient mask. A gold mask from the Sican culture found on the northern coast of Peru contains traces of human blood. The Sican culture, which existed from 750 to 1375 AD, is known for its luxurious gold crafts, including funerary masks that were created during the Middle Sican period and often accompanied the elite in their tombs. In the 1990s, archaeologists excavated the tomb of one such elite. It contained a skeleton sitting upside down, painted bright red with cinnabar, with a gold mask covering a severed skull. Around the skeleton were the skeletons of 2 young women in labor and nursing positions, as well as 2 children. In a recent study, scientists analyzed the paint on the mask, identifying 6 proteins from human blood, including serum albumin and immunoglobulin G. Proteins from egg white, presumably from a Muscovy duck, were also found. Researchers believe that the presence of blood symbolized life force and could be linked to the idea of rebirth of the deceased. Nomo Figures. One of the most mysterious artifacts of the African continent is the Nomo Figures found in Sierra Leone, West Africa. These ancient sculptures, carved from stone, depict strange creatures with disproportionately large heads, bulging eyes, and other unusual features that are not typical of human anatomy. Some of them also depict scenes that can be interpreted as mythological or religious. The unique shapes and features of these figures have attracted the attention of not only archaeologists, but also supporters of theories about ancient astronauts. Some researchers believe that the Nomo figures may represent images of extraterrestrial beings that may have been in contact with the ancient inhabitants of the region. According to them, the strange proportions and features of the figures may indicate that they were created under the impression of real creatures of extraterrestrial origin. This theory, although not scientifically proven, adds an aura of mystery to the Nomo figurines and attracts the attention of ufologists and lovers of mysticism. Official science considers the Nomo figurines to be religious or ritual objects, and it is believed that these artifacts were most likely used in ancient rites or rituals associated with the worship of gods or spirits, since they could symbolize certain mythological characters. As I have already told you before, when archaeologists or historians cannot explain the origin of an artifact, it necessarily becomes an object of religious significance. Interestingly, the Nomo figurines are often found deep in the ground, sometimes together with other ancient artifacts, various iron objects or weapons, which complicates the task of dating them and establishing their cultural context. Some finds indicate that these artifacts could have existed in very ancient times, perhaps long before the appearance of known civilizations in this region. Ancient inscriptions of the pharaohs in the Nile. Archaeological divers at the bottom of the murky waters of the Nile in Egypt examined algae-covered rock formations. At first glance, the stones seemed unremarkable. However, upon closer examination, scientists discovered several inscriptions associated with the ancient pharaohs. A joint team of Egyptian and French archaeologists decided to explore the ruins in the reservoir in Aswan. Under a layer of algae, they found several carvings that were at least 2,300 years old. The images ranged from drawings of ancient Egyptian pharaohs to hieroglyphs. The photo shows several well-preserved carved figures. The shapes are blurred by water and quite difficult to distinguish. One set of lettering appears to be a row of mannequin heads above two objects that resemble tombstones. These ancient inscriptions are still being studied. Archaeologists believe that these finds will help to better understand how the ancient kings ruled in those distant times. The most dangerous manuscript in the world. Marie Curie is a famous experimental scientist, an outstanding chemist, and a radioactivity researcher who received 2 Nobel Prizes, one in 1903 in physics, the second in 1911 in chemistry. But why are her notebooks considered dangerous? The answer does not lie in the knowledge they contain. Marie Curie, together with her husband Pierre Curie, discovered the radioactive elements polonium and radium and developed methods for isolating radioactive isotopes. When scientists discovered radium, they had no idea about its harm to the body. Therefore, no protective measures were taken. Samples of the substance were carried in pockets and stored without precautions. Marie Curie died in 1934 from aplastic anemia, a blood disease caused by radiation. Many of the scientists who worked with her also died of leukemia and other radiation-related diseases. While working in the laboratory, Curie received a huge dose of radiation and became radioactive herself. After her death, she was buried in a lead coffin that blocks radiation. Personal belongings, including notebooks, were transferred to the National Library of France, where they are stored in lead boxes, as they remain radioactive. Today, access to Marie Curie's notebooks is difficult. To view her manuscripts, you must sign a disclaimer form at the Bibliothèque Nationale de France and obtain permission. Viewing of records takes place in a special room away from other reading rooms of the library. The visitor must wear a protective suit and use a dosimeter. Experts have found that the radiation dose for a person in a protective suit working with Curie notebooks is insignificant. Even with regular contact throughout the year, the maximum radiation dose will be about 10 USV microsievert per hour. For comparison, during a flight at an altitude of 10 kilometers, a person receives 5 MSVH. Thus, a 2-hour flight from Berlin to Barcelona will give the same radiation dose as a year of working with Curie notebooks. The Curie notebooks remain the most dangerous known manuscripts due to radioactivity. Reading them without a protective suit is extremely dangerous. Marie Curie's personal belongings will not be touched without protection for about 1,500 years, since the half-life of radium-226 is 1,600 years. Coko Stone. This massive stone, located near the town of Clydebank in Scotland, is covered with complex carved patterns consisting of spirals, circles, and lines, and it is still considered one of the most mysterious archaeological finds in Scotland. After conducting a lot of analysis, scientists confirmed that the stone is about 5,000 years old. The patterns on the Coko Stone attracted attention due to their uniqueness and complexity. Some researchers interpret these symbols as an ancient map of the starry sky, indicating the possible use of the stone for astronomical purposes. In their opinion, spirals and circles can represent stars, planets, or even trajectories of celestial bodies, which could help the ancient inhabitants of Scotland track the movement of celestial bodies. Also, the stone could serve as a place for rituals or ceremonies associated with the worship of gods or spirits of nature. However, there is still no consensus on what role this artifact played in the lives of ancient people. Proponents of the paleocontact theory hypothesize that the patterns on the Coko Stone may be evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. According to them, the complexity and symbolism of the images may indicate interaction with a more advanced culture, possibly not of terrestrial origin. Fuente Magna Bowl. A mysterious artifact found near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia also interested archaeologists with its unusual image. The bowl, called Fuente Magna, is a large stone vessel with unusual inscriptions on its surface. These inscriptions struck researchers with their similarity to Sumerian cuneiform, one of the oldest writing systems that originated in Mesopotamia. The unusual nature of the inscriptions gave rise to theories about possible contacts between the ancient cultures of Mesopotamia and South America. Supporters of this hypothesis claim that the bowl may serve as evidence of the existence of unknown migration routes or even ancient sea voyages that connected these distant regions. However, skeptics point to a high probability of falsification. They argue that the bowl could have been created at a later period, perhaps even in the modern era, in order to cause a sensation. Around 150 years ago, it was very popular all over the world to create such objects to attract people to fairs and make money from gullible citizens. Despite this, the exact origin and meaning of the Fuente Magna bowl remain unsolved, continuing to arouse the interest of archaeologists and lovers of the mysteries of ancient history. Zorat's Karer. The large megalithic complex of Zorat's Karer, which is also called the Armenian Stonehenge, is one of the most mysterious ancient structures in the Caucasus. This ancient monument, located in the south of Armenia, consists of hundreds of vertically installed stones, some of which reach several meters in height. Of particular interest are the stones with holes in the upper part, which attract the attention of researchers and lovers of mysticism. Zorat's Karer dates back to about the 6th millennium BC, which makes it one of the most ancient structures of this type. Supporters of theories about extraterrestrial civilizations hypothesize that these holes could have served to observe the stars or even to communicate with extraterrestrial beings. They argue that the accuracy of the location of the holes and the orientation of the stones may indicate astronomical or some other more complex functions that could not have been available to the ancient inhabitants of Armenia without outside help. However, there is no scientific evidence to support these theories. Most researchers are of the opinion that the Armenian Stonehenge was an ancient observatory used to observe celestial bodies, or was a place where rituals and ceremonies were held. This ancient monument continues to attract the attention of researchers and tourists, inspiring the search for answers about its true role in the life of ancient civilizations. Stromatolites. These are some of the oldest evidence of life on Earth, estimated to be around 3.5 billion years old. These ancient formations are made up of thin layers of sedimentary rock that were created by colonies of cyanobacteria, primitive microorganisms capable of photosynthesis. Stromatolites can be found in various parts of the world, but some of the most famous and well-preserved examples are found in Australia, particularly in the Shark Bay area. The cyanobacteria that created stromatolites played a key role in changing the chemical composition of the Earth's atmosphere by releasing oxygen through photosynthesis. This led to the so-called oxygen catastrophe, which, although it caused a mass extinction of anaerobic organisms, created the conditions for the development of more complex life forms, including animals and plants. Stromatolites are thus considered the oxygen factories of antiquity. Out-of-place artifact. Out-of-place artifacts are finds that do not fit into the traditional understanding of our history at all. They are found in places and layers of the Earth where they should not be. The most amazing thing is that, given their age and level of complexity, such objects simply could not have been created at a time when, as is believed, no advanced technology existed. Official science often declares such finds to be fakes or simply ignores them, but their number is growing, and it is no longer possible to turn a blind eye to them. Let's take, for example, the mysterious Baigun metal pipes discovered in China. These pipes go deep into the ground and extend to the shores of lakes. Their age is estimated at 150,000 years. The composition of the pipes, including iron and other minerals, and their antiquity baffle researchers. Some believe that this is the result of natural processes, but others believe that the pipes could be traces of a highly developed civilization or even left by aliens. No less mysterious is a forged nail, the age of which exceeds 350 million years. This nail was found in a rock layer dating back to the Paleozoic, a time when neither people nor metalworking existed. How could such a nail get into ancient rocks? Some scientists suggest tectonic processes, others talk about the intervention of previously unknown civilizations. Fossilized tools were found in Provence, which could have been made by people or even from ancient trees. If this is true, then such finds indicate the existence of intelligent beings who had woodworking skills long before the appearance of the first known civilizations. Other finds are even stranger. In Antarctica, the Eltanin antenna was discovered, which at first looked like a high-tech object. However, it later turned out to be just a sea sponge. Nevertheless, the very fact of such a misconception shows how wrong we can be when faced with the inexplicable. The Paluxy River tracks are another mystery. giant humanoid footprints were found next to dinosaur tracks. This discovery challenges our understanding of the chronology of life on Earth, since, according to the theory of evolution, dinosaurs and humans never crossed paths in time. There are other examples. The anomaly on Mount Ararat, which is associated with Noah's Ark, the clay figurine from Nampa, the age of which is unclear, or the wolf's egg iron, which is considered a remnant of the prehistoric era. Let's not forget about the Tucson artifacts, a collection of 31 lead objects found in 1924 near Picture Rocks, Arizona. These artifacts include crosses, swords, and other objects engraved with Latin and Hebrew inscriptions, as well as images resembling medieval symbols. Initially thought to be the work of ancient Mediterranean civilizations that allegedly crossed the Atlantic in the 1st century, many scholars later believed that they were hoaxes created in modern times to mislead researchers. Either way, each of these artifacts challenges our understanding of the past and opens the door to new theories and research. Perhaps our history is more surprising and mysterious than we could ever imagine. The mystery of the Antarctic monolith. In 2020, in a remote part of Antarctica, at a depth of more than 2 kilometers, researchers discovered a mysterious object which was named the Antarctic monolith. This object, which is a rectangular stone slab about 3 meters high and 1.5 meters wide, was found using sub-ice radar used to map the landscape under the ice sheet. The strangest thing began when scientists began to study the monolith. The surface of the stone was covered with complex geometric patterns and petroglyphs that were strangely similar to ancient symbols found in different parts of the world, including South America, Africa, and Asia. Analysis of the material showed that the stone has no analogs among the known rocks of Antarctica, which means that it came here from another place. In addition, the monolith had unusual magnetic properties. Instruments recorded a weak but constant magnetic field around it. Near the monolith, charred remains of organic material were found that scientists believe could be ancient plants or even remains of living creatures that lived millions of years ago. These organic materials trapped in ice could provide unique information about the ancient ecosystem of Antarctica when it was part of the supercontinent Gondwana. Some researchers suggest that this could be the trace of an advanced civilization that existed long before humans appeared. Others claim that it is potential evidence of contact with extraterrestrial beings. Tiahuanaco Cave. In the Tiahuanaco area, one of the most ancient and mysterious archaeological complexes in Bolivia, a cave was discovered with strange creatures depicted on its walls. These figures have large heads and eyes, which resembles the images of aliens that are widespread in modern culture. The discovered images immediately attracted the attention of archaeologists from all over the world. Some researchers have suggested that these images may reflect the myths and beliefs of the ancient cultures of the region, associating them with divine or supernatural beings. In the ancient civilizations of South America, images of anthropomorphic creatures with exaggerated features of body parts are often found, which could symbolize their special role and status in mythology. And then supporters of the theory of paleocontact put forward their hypothesis that these images may be evidence of real contacts with extraterrestrial beings who visited the Earth in ancient times. Interestingly, there are similar images and figurines all over the world that have many coincidences. Did humanity really encounter something extraterrestrial in ancient times? What do you think? Write your opinion in the comments below the video. Discovery of the star Sirius. The Dogon tribe of Mali, Africa has long attracted the attention of researchers and anthropologists due to their unique and ancient knowledge of the star Sirius. This knowledge is amazing in its accuracy. The Dogon claim that Sirius is not just a bright star visible to the naked eye, but that it has a satellite, Sirius B, which is invisible without special equipment and was discovered by Western scientists only in 1862. According to Dogon mythology, their ancestors received this knowledge from mysterious creatures they call Nomo. These creatures, according to legend, came to Earth from Sirius and taught the Dogon astronomy, agriculture, and other important sciences. The information that the Dogon keep about Sirius is amazing in its accuracy. They knew that Sirius B is a small and extremely dense star, which is surprising for a people who did not have access to modern astronomical instruments. This knowledge has given rise to many hypotheses and theories about possible contact between the Dogon and an extraterrestrial civilization. Supporters of paleocontact are sure that the ancient Dogon could only have received such precise data about space from a highly developed extraterrestrial race. Some anthropologists and historians believe that the Dogon knowledge could have been acquired not from mythical creatures, but from European missionaries and explorers who visited Africa in the past. There are suggestions that the Dogon could have learned about Sirius B during interactions with scientists in the 19th or early 20th century, and then integrated this information into their myths and legends. London Hammer. In 1936, an unusual discovery was made in Texas that became the subject of heated debate among scientists and ufologists. The discovered artifact, known as the London Hammer, was sealed inside a piece of fossilized limestone, which is estimated to be millions of years old. This led to speculation that the hammer could have belonged to an advanced ancient civilization and perhaps even been of extraterrestrial origin. Proponents of the paleocontact theory and alternative history believe that the London Hammer is evidence of the existence of an unknown civilization that possessed advanced technology long before the emergence of known cultures. They argue that such an artifact could not have accidentally ended up in such ancient rocks. However, there is also a scientific explanation that the hammer could have ended up in the limestone much later than its formation. According to them, the age of the fossil does not necessarily indicate the age of the artifact, and it is possible that we are talking about a later inclusion of the hammer in the sedimentary rock. To this day, the London Hammer remains one of those mysteries that continue to excite minds and provoke debates about the origins of humanity and its history. And what do you think? Could our ancestors really contact extraterrestrial beings, or are all these discoveries just part of a hoax and were created in our time? Write your opinion in the comments under the video. I will be interested to read it. Thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.